Okay, so here's the deal.
And da-da-da-da-da.
Right?
Well,
Theoretically speaking. Hey guys, what's up? I'm Cassie, here with Harper for episode 3.
hey, I'm Harper, and what we're talking about this week includes alternate realities, spooky mirrors, time loop confusion. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And then, of course, we'll have our segment at the end. That's a secret.
First, we're going to start off with a spooky story.
Oh, yeah. Happy October.
Happy October, everybody. We didn't say that last time because it wasn't October when we recorded.
Yeah, so technically, now's October. We'll probably have October in November, too.
Probably.
First week.
Alright, here's this stupid story. Here's this spooky story about why mirrors are spooky.
Is that your main one?
No.
Okay.
The main one comes with a theory.
Oh, so you're doing the opposite.
What?
I thought you were going to tell the story and just let them wonder.
No, because the main one is like very, very, very evidential.
Oh, okay.
Of why I think mirrors are spooky.
Okay.
This kid was 8, and it was about nighttime, and him and his mom decided to stay in this cheap motel. It wasn't like terribly trashy.
Mm-hmm.
I say his. The name of this guy is 50 Shades of Nico.
Nico? You know Nico from Percy Jackson and the it's like Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief was the first one, but it's the ones with the mythical Roman myth.
Greek gods?
Greek gods, yeah.
There we go.
Percy Jackson and the Greek gods. Nico is the son of Hades, so that's probably why. It's probably a fandom again.
Yeah, either that or the guy's name is just Nico, because I've met people whose names are Nico.
Yeah, that could be true, but it's the internet, so I'm gonna think it's a fandom. Is this on Tumblr?
No, this is on yourghoststories.com, which makes it very real and very trusted.
Yes.
Anyway, they were checking in, and the mom was talking to the desk clerk, and this kid got drawn to this mirror and walked up to it and was just
oh no.
Yeah, was just staring into it hardcore, in a daze. Mm-hmm. And out of nowhere, he saw a man that wasn't old or young, but he had a strange look on his face. It was kind of sad, and he was just staring down at him. And it took him a second to kind of comprehend who the man was. Mm-hmm. And he realized it was his mom's boyfriend. And he was looking at him as if he knew something that the little boy didn't know.
How old? Did it say how old he was at the time?
He was 8 at the time.
Oh, okay.
He finally, came to, because he wasn't...
Because he was just in the daze.
He was just in the daze. He wasn't too scared until he realized what the heck he saw. Yeah. So he finally came to, and he told his mom, I saw Jason in the mirror.
Oh, gosh. Man, if my kid ever said something to me like that,
yeah,
I would freak out.
Well, the mom was confused and just asked if the little boy was tired, and maybe he just needed to go to sleep. It wasn't until 4 weeks later that Jason was run over by a car, obviously.
Yeah.
Walking home from a job interview. And the mom had told the little boy that, had to sit down and told the little boy that, and he has connected it.
He thinks
in his mind, and now he's an adult. It's whoa, mirrors are spooky.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, if I had an experience like that.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting in a daze for that long, you know, and you took the time to be this person isn't young or old. Yeah. Who is this person? And you're staring at it this long. It's not like he was glancing and saw something out of the corner of his eye.
That's
assuming 50 Shades of Nico is being a truthful person.
I mean, it's on yourghoststories.com. It has to be real.
Yeah, right. We're treating
the internet doesn't lie.
It is real.
So
he's looking for consolation. I feel like it's real.
Anyway, I think that is spooky, and I can't look into mirrors for too long.
I think when I was little, this was the other thing I kind of wanted to bring up. Chance, one of our listeners, messaged me and a great quote by Itachi Uchiha, who is a well-respected ninja. So let me read this to you, and it kind of has to do with the alternate realities. So, every human being relies on and is bounded by his knowledge and experience to live. This is what we call reality. However, knowledge and experience are ambiguous, thus reality can become illusion. Is it not possible to think that all human beings are living in their assumptions? People live their lives bound by what they accept as true and correct. That is how they define reality, but what does it mean to be correct or true? Merely vague concepts. Their reality may all be an illusion. So, I've actually thought about that a lot my whole life, but never put it into words. And it's kind of like my color blue might not be the same as your color blue.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it when I was younger, maybe because I probably saw a movie where, like, a mirror was, like, the alternate universe. I don't think I came up with that on my own.
Well, that quote kind of reminds me of a movie called Shallow Hal. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's with Jack Black.
I love Jack Black.
The story is about Hal, who is taking his dying father's advice and only dates the embodiments of female physical perfection. But when he has a unexpected run-in with a self-help guru, intrigued by Hal's shallowness, the guru hypnotizes him into seeing that beauty exists and even the least appealing women. So Hal thinks that this girl that he's dating is like
the best thing
in the world. She's got the hottest body and everything, but she's actually really fat. So I think about that. I don't think about that quote a lot, but I think about that situation a lot, where it's like, maybe I don't look the way that I think that I look.
Oh yeah, I've definitely experienced that. Like, I think the way I picture myself is definitely not at all how I actually look, and I'm reminded of that when I take a picture, or see a picture someone else took of me, and it's kind of heart-wrenching, but it's also like a good reality check.
Yeah.
In a way. But anyways, I've thought about that a lot, and then when I was little, I think I would, instead of avoiding mirrors, I would like watch them for too long just to see.
I cannot look at them for too long. Hank and Chris both say that they like try and catch their reflection.
Yeah,
either like blinking or
I would do it until I got freaked out, and then I couldn't
like
do that.
seeing flaws that aren't actually there on you. Mm-hmm. Like that freaks me out. I literally, unless I'm putting makeup on, I cannot look in the mirror for longer than like 2 minutes.
Yeah. I only look in the mirror whenever it's that sort of situation, or I'm like when I am looking, or whenever like I'm looking at my face for makeup, but
yeah. So, but it is very common in history that mirrors are portals to alternate realities. They have all of those crazy little things where you can like, okay, really probably shouldn't do this. You sit in front of your mirror with a lit candle and you stare long enough, and it's supposed to take you to an alternate reality. But how do you know if that reality is
even real?
It's supposed to be a better reality, but how do you know you're not already in the better reality?
Oh no. Yeah.
So they also have
have people tried that?
Yeah, but I don't think.
What if it's more of like a self-hypnotism sort of thing?
Maybe. But there are also like cultures that when somebody dies,
they cover all the mirrors.
They cover all the mirrors so that soul doesn't get trapped in the mirror.
That is a weird thing. I've never thought about
that.
Yeah,
and the whole like when you break a mirror, you get 7 years of bad luck. It's because
you probably destroyed a reality.
Well, it's because they used to think, I guess, that whatever soul was looking in the reflection was in that mirror. And it takes that long to repair that soul.
Gosh.
Which is why you get 7 years of bad luck. They have different remedies where you can ground the mirror into a powder where it doesn't reflect anything anymore and the soul will be like released. Mm-hmm. Or you can dip it into running water or something. But that is why they think that.
Wow. Do you remember which cultures? I mean,
the 7 years of bad luck, it comes from like Romans, and this one comes from mainly Judaism, but like I think there were Indian cultures that also believed this as well. Yeah. The mirror covering thing. But super spooky. Are we gonna go ahead and go into this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, another one on ghoststories.com was from this lady who I don't know whose it was. Sorry about it, lady. Her and her husband were moving into this house, and they like had all these boxes in. It was kind of it's similar to the layout of my house where you can kind of run laps around the downstairs because there are no doors anywhere. Yeah. But instead of the back room that is now our dining room, it was like a separate apartment. Okay. So they've got that, and it's got like a extra bathroom or something in it. Right. So they've got the boxes all downstairs, and they go upstairs to like go to sleep and whatever, and she wakes up in the middle of the night and hears like rustling downstairs. And this is like an older house that's been renovated, so as somebody that lives in an older house that has been renovated, it squeaks a lot. Yeah. Because the ground is moving, and you've got like the floors that maybe weren't properly installed, so they kind of creak and crack. But she kind of sat there for a while trying to decipher the old house noises between like rustling and footsteps. And finally she heard someone cough. So she wakes her then husband, now ex-husband, probably had a lot to do with this situation. She wakes him up and hisses, "Somebody's downstairs." She goes to get her son. She comes back. Her husband's still asleep, so she wakes him up again and says, "Somebody is downstairs." And her husband informs her that she can go look herself. So she doesn't want to surprise anybody or shock anybody to like shooting her as she's going down the stairs. So she is flicking lights on.
Like, "Hey, I'm here."
Yeah. She's flicking lights on, asking like, "Hello, is anybody there?" She sees evidence that boxes have been gone through.
I'm getting like my heart's beating a little bit fast.
Yeah, she sees evidence that boxes have been gone through. She circles around to the back apartment and is going into there, but the light switch is on the opposite side. Yeah. So she's traveling towards the light switch, and she sees, and she's got a baseball bat this whole time. She stands there because she sees a figure on the other side. And then it starts moving towards her. So she swings the bat. And she hears a loud crash. Runs and flicks the light on. And she had hit a mirror that her husband had put on the toilet in that bathroom. And so she was very embarrassed because she was scared by her own reflection. The husband wakes up, comes downstairs, and calls the cops because he sees that the boxes have been gone through. Yeah. They check and make sure all of the doors and windows were all locked tight, and they were. The cops get there and were very upset that the husband didn't go downstairs. Good. So one of them is having a talk with the husband, and another one follows her to the back room just to check things out. And as soon as they start walking in, she's like, "Careful, there's glass. I hit a mirror." There's no glass anywhere. The mirror is completely fine, and it's still there. The husband walks back, and she asks him where he found the mirror, and he said that he found it in the basement. That he had never seen it before. It was just in their basement. So the mirror didn't belong to any of them. It was all very spooky. There was no resolution to this story. That's it. That's the end.
I don't like this creepy mirror.
Yeah.
That like put itself back together.
Not only was she stopped when she walked into the room and saw the reflection moving towards her, which made her swing the bat to begin with. But the mirror put itself back together.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's no other way to say that. Yeah. What put the mirror back together if not itself?
Yeah. Other than, like, it not even breaking, but the fact that the husband came downstairs after he heard the loud crash is sign itself that it actually broke.
Yeah.
So,
mirrors are creepy.
That being said, here is an article from theweekinweird.com.
It's written by Greg Newkirk.
Yes.
In 2015.
The disturbing case of the dark mirror, investigating the haunted object that has terrified hundreds. Now, this guy and his wife go around and collect haunted objects for this headquarters. This is another spooky website. They collect dolls and things of the sort to kind of take around to different things. They work in a thing called the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult. So they have a lot of these objects. And they ran into this one lady who, her mom got into scrying by using a black mirror.
Scrying?
Scrying is where you hold, let me look this up so I don't mess anything up. Okay, so it's to use divination to discover hidden knowledge or future events.
Okay.
So it's when people use the crystal ball. Some people use dark, like black mirrors, which is a thing.
And that's like that's what they were saying, right?
Yes.
So a black mirror looks like a mirror, but it's just like a reflective black.
Yeah. It's like a dark, it's dark, but it the reflection itself is darker. So a lot of people around this time, I guess, that they found this were really interested in doing it, and the mother went and found it at some New Age Expo thing, and she was real interested in it, and this lady noticed that her mom started becoming increasingly distant as she practiced her scrying with a new mirror, and she would call and the mom would say a couple of words and like that was it. So she finally went over to her house and noticed that her mother was more obsessed with perfecting her divination because she had realized that she was I don't know where I was going with that sentence. Anyway, she was perfecting her divination. She was obsessed with it. So she finally went to her mom's home and demanded to see the mirror. Said, "Mom, give me the dang mirror."
I have to see for myself.
Yeah. Her mother was very upset, and she opened a closet and pulled out a small frame draped in a black veil. And when she asked her mom why the heck she was keeping the mirror covered and locked up, the mother told her that it was evil. She didn't want it anymore.
But she was obsessed.
She was obsessed with perfecting her divination, where you can like see future events.
And she was using the mirror to do it, but then the mirror turned out to be evil?
Then the mirror turned out to be evil. She decided that the mirror was evil and she didn't want anything to do with it. So shortly afterwards, this lady got in touch with Greg and his wife and was like, "Okay, here's this mirror. It gives me the heebie-jeebies."
Yeah. It's evil.
They cleared a display space in the case for items like that, and it sat there quietly, and he'd only taken a peek about the mirror because he was too scared that the mirror was a fake.
What? That is a weird reason to be afraid of it.
He was too scared that it was a fake. He didn't want to ruin the spooky history behind it. So it sat there covered on display in their living room. And on the morning,
is that where their museum was?
Well, it's a traveling museum.
Oh, gotcha.
So they take their stuff all over these places.
Right.
So on the morning of June 20th, they surveyed their weird collection of paranormal things and began packing up pieces they wanted to display at the stop that they were going to. And it would be the first time that it was on public display. And as they were unloading their boxes, they already had guests asking about what the heck was under that black veil. And, okay, so they say, okay, yeah, it's fine, you can hold it, use it, experiment with it, or test it, but they do so at their own risk, all guests. So guests are allowed to hold this or whatever. One woman waved her arms and was like, no way. Another one said that she would after she weighed the pros and cons. She gazed into the glass for about 30 seconds before her expression changed from skepticism to sheer horror, and she quickly slammed the frame down on the table with her eyes wide in shock. And he was like, "So what did you see?" And the lady said, "I saw my own decomposing corpse looking back at me."
Oh my gosh, no.
And she said, "That's a dark mirror. I should not have done that. I need to go say a prayer. Excuse me," and walked off. And so the name stuck, and for the rest of the event, all of the guests were talking about the dark mirror. Some even coming up to try it themselves. And
I don't think that would make me want to try it.
For many people, the scariest things they saw were their own reflection. But
wait, just like normal them? Or them dying?
Probably them dying. Yeah. He said it became so often and aggressive that they were getting those reactions that maybe he wondered if he needed to reword their disclaimer. So, reports of strange visions, warping faces, and a general sense of dread were surrounding this mirror in the event. And later on in the evening, one woman decided to press her palm against the surface of the glass and wound up spending the next 2 hours violently polishing the mirror in an attempt to get the imprint to disappear.
Oh my gosh.
She also saw her own corpse in the reflection, along with other visions she refused to repeat. And it wasn't until she threatened to smash the mirror that the palm finally faded.
Gosh.
Yeah. So, all of this, and he began to notice himself staring off into space. And when he came back to awareness, he realized he had been staring at the covered mirror. He was like, "No, it's just a thing." Mm-hmm. He didn't look at it because he felt like maybe the mirror wants me to look at it. And then he was like, "No, that's crazy talk." Mm-hmm. So after that month, a month after that thing, the mirror once again became the centerpiece for weirdness. And at another event, they still had another hour to go before doors opened to the public. But the caretakers of the property were checking out the table and asked about the mirror. And as usual, he gave them the history, and they wanted to try it out themselves. And the woman, who referred to herself as the group skeptic, decided to give it a whirl.
I hate those people. Like, oh, I'm such a skeptic.
And moments later, she was telling them that she had watched her mouth whisper, even though she and everybody around her could say that her mouth never moved in real life.
No.
So, throughout the night, everybody was seeing creepy stuff. Mm-hmm. One man was like, "No, this is crazy. I'm gonna look at it." He held the mirror at arm's length and stared deeply, only to almost drop the piece and fall backwards, yelling profanities the whole time. And he said that he watched another person who looked exactly like himself peer around from behind his reflection and walk away. So he watched himself behind him look at himself and then walk away.
No, that's so scary.
Yeah. So half a dozen gazers reported the feeling of electricity coursing through the mirror's frame as they held it. People started saying headaches. One woman described the feeling and taste of her mouth filling with blood as she was looking into the mirror. One of the people that was at this event was a paranormal investigator, and she took it to her room for her own little experiment, and they let her since she's an investigator.
But
also, why the heck would you do that? And half an hour later, she returned, telling them how she watched people walk around the room who weren't there. It was an empty room. It was just her in the mirror. Mm-hmm. She said she saw a ton of people walking around. When they arrived home, he put the mirror back on its usual shelf and kept it put on display. He noticed that both of their cats were doing that bobblehead thing that cats sometimes do when they see a squirrel outside the window. And then he realized that not only do they sit in the same chair at once, but they weren't looking at the window at all. They were looking at the mirror. Mm-hmm. And it was uncovered with the veil lying on the floor. And he was like, maybe the cats pulled it off. And so he picked it up and re-put it on there For the next several days, he said that it continued that each morning they'd walk into the living room and found the mirror had uncovered itself at night. So he pulled out the motion-activated trail camera and put it on a tripod and put it facing the mirror. And he found that the mirror was uncovered 3 of those 7 nights, but the camera memory card was empty each time. And he finally looked, and the SD card had been corrupted.
How normal.
Yes.
Didn't know that could happen when it was in a trail cam.
But he said that a few weeks ago, which was in 2015, so like 2 years ago by now, they had it displayed at a museum in Ohio, and the dark mirror was willing to perform. No corpses this time, but instead at least 3 separate guests reported watching a black mass hover near the left of their shoulders, while others claimed to see themselves age 40 years.
It's crazy that it like does different things all the time.
Yeah. So somebody hands him the mirror, and he hasn't looked in the mirror yet, and he handed it to somebody else who was next to him, and this guy saw his own face with a kind of twisted, distorted grin spread across himself.
No, that would really freak me out.
And he covered it up and refused to look at it any further. This article has a link to where you can actually hear this guy's reaction. If you want to, I'll link the article in our stuff. But it brings it to 2015 now, where they're at Weird HQ, and he says that it seems that the dark mirror is a bad influence not just on people, but also on objects displayed with it. So many of the haunted items that they had acquired throughout the years and hadn't really acted haunted started becoming active. A creepy doll named Ruby had mysteriously disappeared. A charred Ouija planchette started sliding around in its glass display case at night. And for that reason, they don't keep the mirror on display anymore. They've got it wrapped up in a sheet and draped a rosary over it and locked it in a chest. And it's only been a few days, or I guess it had only been a few days, but all of the other objects kind of went back to normal after that. So he says that he feels that the dark mirror isn't exactly haunted, but that it feeds on human interaction. So the more they took it out and let people try it, the stronger the mirror got.
It was just like a bewitched.
It was like, yeah, it was like I don't know where I was going with that sentence either.
Maybe it was almost like it was alive or something.
Yeah.
Like its own thing.
But it was kind of as if the mirror was acting sort of like a battery for other things around it as well. It's not like a silly thing to say that mirrors kind of soak up energy and work as a battery, because I've got this evidence right here. According to a theory, in 2011, a team of physicists claimed that they were able to use mirrors to turn virtual photons into real photons. And a mirror can absorb energy from vital photons onto its surface and then re-emit that energy as real photons. The effect only works when a mirror is moving through a vacuum at nearly the speed of light, which is almost impossible for everyday mechanical devices, but, you know, makes you think twice about those Bloody Mary myths. And
yeah, and I mean, if this was a really powerful mirror, it's not impossible to think that maybe it creates its own vacuum.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a dark mirror, because black is black like a vacuum sort of thing?
Black is the absence of color. I don't know where you're going with that, but
well, like, you've seen that color they created that is like the blackest black.
Yeah.
And it absorbs all light. That's where I was going with it. Black absorbs light.
Yeah.
So is it so crazy to think that a black mirror could absorb energy?
Who even knows? Really freaky. Definitely makes me not ever want to look in a mirror again.
Yeah. And like, well, black clothing holds heat.
Yeah. dark hair, people, I don't know if you guys ever noticed that on, like, the playground in school or whatever, but people with dark hair, their head was always harder than people with light hair.
I don't think I ever really touched.
Me and my friends always used to compare. We were weird kids.
Really?
Yeah.
You would compare whose head was hotter?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool, kind of,
and,
actually.
like, the sunlight, we would be like, man, my head's so hot, and then be like, whoa, mine's even hotter, and we'd touch each other's, like, head, where her hair was pulled back, and it would be...
Someone's, like, the darker-haired girls was hotter than the other. Well, yeah, so, like, black absorbs things, whether it be color or energy or heat. And if this was a mirror that was originally bought for scrying, so obviously she knew that it had mystical properties of some sort. Yeah. And those properties just happened to be dark properties, as this article shows.
Yeah, really freaky things.
Mm-hmm. So your theory is that
my theory is that mirrors are spooky.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree, actually. I think you've convinced me overwhelming.
I read this other little story that I wasn't really going to say anything about because it was kind of like...
ridiculous?
No, it's just like short and anticlimactic. But this lady was hearing, it kind of sounded like sizzling bacon. And she was like trying to figure out what the heck that, like, the noise was all throughout her house. And she, went to bed that night and woke up to the sizzling bacon noise even louder. Mm-hmm. And she looked at the mirror, and her mirror was actually cracking.
Gosh.
By itself. And so she got her dad to replace the glass because it was hooked to her dresser. So she had one of those little vanity things. She got her dad to replace the glass, and then years later, her now husband, then boyfriend, was living with her. And they started hearing the same thing, and her husband kind of woke up and was like, what is that noise? And she shot up out of bed and was like, it's the mirror, because she had, like, heard it before. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the mirror was cracking again.
That's ridiculous.
They replaced the glass, and she said that it hasn't happened anymore. But mirrors are crazy. Yeah. My theory is mirrors are spooky, whether they be portals that ghosts can come through, or portals to another reality, or soul trappers. They're scary objects.
Yeah. That's our spooky theory for October. We want to have one every October podcast, whether it's recorded in October or posted in October. So we want to make sure you get plenty of spookiness. I agree. I think you provided, like, this was less hypothetical than most of our theories because you did a lot of research. I did a lot of research. So kudos to you. Good job.
I'm going to try and start doing more research.
I know you really enjoy it.
I do really enjoy it. It was hard, though. It was hard finding stories that felt
real. Reputable.
Yeah. It didn't feel like this person was trying to write, start a writing career, or it didn't feel like this person was trying to make the spookiest story out there. Yeah. It was hard to, like, decipher, go through all of yourghoststories.com, your related ghost stories. And, like, one of them was, I saw my doppelganger in my mirror, help. I saw my mom's 2 years ago and she didn't die, but I saw mine, help. And I was like, really? What? It was probably just your reflection.
Yeah. So not all mirrors are spooky, but do they all have the potential to be spooky? Probably so. So now I have to look for my theory real quick. Okay, I found it. So in episode 1, I'm going to rewind it a little bit.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it.
Right now.
This is a crucial lead-in to this.
Yeah. Episode 1, we talked about time travel. And we got into all kinds of things. But specifically, we mentioned loops. Because we were talking about Groundhog Day.
Yes, and Groundhog Day was brought up because I had a kind of a short, offhand theory that maybe... rules come from time traveling where you can only time travel when you were alive, and your, self at this age would go back to,
Now you're coming up with rules.
Yeah, now I'm coming up with the rules. Yourself at, your age or whatever that you've decided to time travel would go back to, the body of
That person. That you in that time.
You in that time. So then that's how we got brought up on loops and Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Which, now that you reminded me of that, because I kind of forgot, I just remembered Groundhog Day. I remember thinking at the time, well, that's totally opposite of the time traveler's wife, in where he does only travel throughout his own, well, he kind of travels in his wife's timeline too. But for the most part, he only travels in his own timeline throughout his life. Usually, well, at least in the movie, because it's called The Time Traveler's Wife, and it's also a book, they only show them meeting up, so he could time travel others, but it's not like he doesn't get to choose when he time travels. Have you not seen this movie?
No, I haven't. It looked too romance for me.
Yeah. Well, it's really good. It's a good mix of, well, probably not good enough mix for you. Yeah. But it's a really good movie. So he can't decide. It's like an involuntary reflex. It's almost like a burden for him.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
And when they get married and start trying to have a child, because their child carries his genes, the baby keeps time traveling outside of her womb. So she keeps having miscarriages, but they're different than like normal miscarriages.
So the baby comes back, right?
No.
No?
They have to, well, actually, the wife tricks the husband. Because he time travels. She, leaves a note for him. Somehow knows that he's going to time travel. And
how does she know that he's going to time travel?
She just, because their timelines are so connected. The first time she met him, she was, 7. He appeared in her grandfather's field.
Oh, okay.
And he wasn't weird about it or anything, of course. Because he already knew her and had grown up to know her. But anyways... So she somehow left a note for him in the past to meet her at this time. Because he had gotten himself fixed to where he couldn't have any more kids because he was so hurt by every time she had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
But she still wanted to have a baby with him. So she leaves a note for him in the past to meet her at this place and goes there. And I don't know. I don't remember how she fixed that. So past him hasn't been fixed yet and can still have children.
Oh no! So she does it. So she kind of cheats on her husband with past husband.
And past husband's like, "Is everything all right between us right now?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's fine, but you're gonna hate me later."
Oh no!
So I'm guessing this was probably before they even decided to have kids or something.
Yeah.
Or before he knows about the miscarriages or. She manages to get pregnant and is very relaxed, doesn't get stressed out through the whole thing. And this baby stays and makes it the full term and is born and grows up to also be a time traveler like her dad. But it's involuntary and they only travel through their timeline, but he can exist at the same time as his past self.
So does... What thing were we talking about?
I was talking about how he can travel.
Oh yeah, so was future husband upset?
Since I think he probably was at the first, but then they had a baby because she was so freaking determined to stay relaxed.
Yeah.
So it was okay, but they didn't have any other children after that.
Well, obviously.
Well, yeah, but also what's crazy is, are you ever gonna watch this movie?
No.
Okay. Spoilers, bro. If you haven't seen this movie, that's probably 10 plus years
Skip
old.
ahead, probably
Skip
30 minutes. No, probably not 30 minutes.
Probably 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So he passes away at the end of the movie.
Oh, that sucks. Why?
He is shot. He time travels out involuntary, is shot, and shows up back at their door, but isn't able to get in the house because it's locked. Current him is in there having a Christmas party with the rest of the family.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they hear knocking at the window and see a handprint. I think the wife or him, I don't remember. Someone goes and sees the door and sees him naked, shot on the ground.
Why is he naked?
I think it was a hunting trip and he was accidentally shot. Or something I don't remember.
Hunting trips equal naked?
Maybe he wasn't naked. I'm pretty sure he was naked, though. Anyways, they see him, and before he can say anything, he involuntarily time travels away. So from that point on, he's, seen the way he's gonna die. Or they know the way he's gonna die.
So then does he really die at the end of the book? Or can he change?
He dies, but past him is still time traveling. So the daughter gets to see her dad in the future.
Oh, okay.
But when past him comes, he's like, so how are you guys? Like, what are y'all doing? And he's like, how long have I been gone? And she's like, well, it's been about 5 years. And, you know, this. And she's like, where are you? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, we've just had you and this, and this. So they, like, catch up.
Well, that's kind of cool.
And so the daughter can also time travel into her past dad's timeline, too. So, like, they still get to have a relationship.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I kind of think that makes sense in a way. But if it were to be like your theory, not like the movie, like where you have to take the body of whatever time you travel to.
Yeah.
I feel like the person would abuse it a lot. To, like, go back a few seconds and change something they did or said. I can't think of a time where that would be a detriment unless you, like, wanted to go do something else and you had to be wherever your body was at that time.
Yeah.
Which do you think it would be like?
I'm not sure. That was more of like you had to have a special device, but you could only travel back to the... So my only issue with that is, like, what if you travel back to when you're a baby? Do you have the motor skills that you have now?
Oh, well, no, you probably have, like, the brain you have now, probably not the motor skills.
Would you be able to use your device, you know? Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, like...
How would you get back? Yeah. But I don't think anybody would time travel back to when they were a baby, unless it was...
Well, and then what if they try to time travel? You can't time travel far into the past, because you're not even existing.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea.
So?
You would have to, I'm trying to see if I can see if he was actually naked. Because I just need to remember. I felt like he was naked because he was, like, shivering and...
He could have been just in
on
shock.
The concrete. Like, he couldn't...
He could have just been in shock. He got shot.
Maybe. I'm unconvinced. Okay, so that's time traveling. We did spooky mirrors. Yeah. Time loop. Okay, so my question about loops and theories. Alright, sorry. Start over. Today I watched a summary of Groundhog Day. And it just so happened that the summary I clicked on was very introspective. And it was like, Groundhog Day, a movie about life.
I freaking love Groundhog Day.
And it was great. And it was really funny because, I mean, the reviewer took it very serious. And I totally understood what he was going by.
Yeah.
Like, because he said that he, like, enjoyed that movie as a child, loved Bill Murray, and was like, this is a deep drama about, like, depression and stuff disguised as a slapstick. So he said, and this kind of leads into my theory about loops, that the reason Bill got stuck in the loop was because he was so already stuck in his own life.
Okay.
And only cared about himself. And he wasn't really doing anything with his life. And on top of that, like, he hated the groundhog.
He did hate the groundhog.
Because he shared the same name with him. And it was like a metaphor for how easy it is to be stuck in your life.
Yeah.
And, like, get stuck in a routine. And he was like, for a lot of people, getting out of the routine is, like, ambition and, like, wanting to go further for your job or something like that. And then he was like, for Bill's character, it was love. And it didn't start out as love. It started out as, like, he just wanted to sleep with this main female character.
Yep.
But rejection kept hurting him. And then it was, like, scene after scene of her slapping him. And then it, like, eventually it took for him to have those feelings for her that grew so much in order for him to get unstuck or to care about being unstuck. And at first, when he was in the loop, all he did was kind of do whatever he wanted because it didn't matter.
Because he was going to wake up and the day was going to start over.
Yeah. And he kind of likened that to, like, depression. Like, nothing matters, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that sense of helplessness and, like, I'm just doing the same thing every day.
I mean, I can see where this guy's, like,
I think this guy has watched this, like, probably 50 or more times.
I feel like I can see where he's getting all of this from, but I feel like
it's just reading it way too much.
He's reading into it, and he's kind of twisting it to make it mean what he wants it to mean.
Yeah. But I liked what he said because it made me think, Because it made me think that in mine, I ask, because every theory, I feel like sometime we're going to have to go over the scientific theory, the scientific method and explain how it works for the people that don't know, because you start every scientific method with a hypothesis.
Hypothesis, yes.
I'm falling over my words.
Okay, people should know how the scientific method works.
Yeah, but whenever I'm, like, explaining it to people and say we're talking about theories and these are our questions, like, here's a question we had, and then developed a theory, they're like, well, that's not a theory.
That's a question.
That's a question.
Okay,
and
do you
like,
know how science even works?
Yeah. Even though it's not real science, it's science-based.
Yes.
In the method. So anyways, rant over.
Science is cool, mirrors are spooky.
Yeah. Time travel is confusing.
Time travel is hard.
We may never understand it.
Loops equal Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yes! Pin!
Done! We've solved all the mysteries for today.
Okay, sorry Bill Murray. Gotta move on.
I love you.
So, what happens to everyone else in the world during the One Day on a Loop movies? Is the whole world stuck on a loop? I think in Groundhog Day it is, and he's the only one sentient of it.
Yeah.
But if not, what would the stuck person's family think? And I think that if we go by, like, this movie reviewer's ideas about, like, how he got stuck because it was, like, his own fault, he was already stuck.
Yeah.
And, okay, so in a world where someone who's stuck on a loop, their family doesn't realize it. Like, he created this own reality where everyone else is acting the same, but for, like, his subconscious did that. What if he was stuck in a loop as, like, a punishment? Like,
oh,
like, he was just stuck in there until he figured out what he was doing wrong, or, like, cared enough to change his life, kind of like Bill Murray did with Love and whatever.
Yeah, I think you're always stuck in a loop to do something. Like that new movie, Happy Death Day.
Yeah, which is...
She's in a loop to try and stop herself from being killed.
Mm-hmm. I think that we should watch that just so we can give, like, a little review.
Yeah.
To give a nod to our loop theory.
Yeah. But I think that people are typically stuck in a loop to fix something. Mm-hmm. There's, like, a Christmas one where this person was, like, miffed about something. Mm-hmm. And was stuck in the loop until he realized the real meaning of Christmas.
Oh, yeah. So it's always just
But it's always just to kind of, like,
help them realize
what the heck is going on in themselves.
So a loop is, like, less like a punishment and more like almost like a meditation, like an introspective sort of thing. A moment where the world is like...
Now, if you are stuck in a loop and the whole world around you is not stuck in a loop, are you stuck in your subconscious, or are you plucked out of reality?
Oh, dang. Well, what I was picturing was pretty funny. I was thinking this kid does the same thing every day, and he's, like, got his eyes closed, and his whole family is, like, looking at him like, freaking, this doofus got himself stuck in a loop.
Yeah, so this guy's stuck in his own subconscious, and he's almost, like, hallucinating that his interactions with everybody are the same, but in reality they're saying something completely different.
Yeah, they're talking to him, and he's just saying the same thing he does every day.
He's like, this happened yesterday, and they're like, no, this didn't happen yesterday.
Yeah, you're stuck in a loop.
You're stuck in a loop.
And he can't hear him.
And he can't hear him because he's stuck in a loop, and he's
he just is doing his own thing.
That word that I just used. Hallucinating.
He's hallucinating.
Or you get, like, plucked out of reality, and you're just missing for a couple of days until you realize what the heck you have to fix.
Yeah. Dang. I like that idea too, but, like, what if you're just really dumb and not self-aware, and you end up out of your house for, like, a year, and you come back and everything's changed?
Do you think that it would be a thing where people would realize, like, oh, they're stuck in a loop?
Yeah, they'll be back.
They'll be back. They're just stuck in a loop again.
Gosh.
You'd think they'd learn by now. You'd think that they would grow up.
Yeah, I think it would be, oh man, teenage years would be the worst.
Yeah,
but
real.
People would come back a lot better than they were before.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone should be stuck in a loop.
I found a new freckle on my finger.
Dude, I love finding new freckles, and I'm getting a lot of them.
I'm like, I keep trying to wipe it off. I keep thinking that it's, like, stuck chocolate or something on me, because anytime I eat chocolate, I, like, get it all over myself.
So I have a cool freckle. Actually, my first freckle showed up on my toe when I was little, and I was super excited because I wanted freckles so bad. And then I didn't get, like, any more forever. But my latest freckle I've noticed within the past few months is actually, I'm just kind of astounded. It's on my ring finger.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like just right there.
You're married to your skin.
Yeah, I'm married.
Mine is on my middle finger on the side, and I'm like, maybe it's a scab.
But it's not.
But it's not. It's like a new, like, freckle or mole or something. But it's still so new that I keep trying to, like, rub it off because I think that it's, like, dirt or something.
I also think I have a new one, like, on one of my ears. It should be, like, around here.
I don't see one there. I've got a mole there.
Yeah, I have, like, one that I just noticed the other day on one of my ears.
It's around this area because the guy that pierced that spot was like, oh, you've got a piercing there before?
Oh, no. I got you.
And I was like, no. And he was like, oh, that's just a freckle. And I was like, yeah, it's just a freckle.
I saw a cool tattoo that was just like 3 bands on your upper ear.
Yeah.
Which I know is, I don't know, I like all the outlined ones. Like the simple outlined.
Oh, the black
like
lines.
Fine lines. I found an Instagram account of nothing but fine lines. And it's like an Australian artist. I'm calling them fine lines because that's what he called them.
Yeah. That's what it's typically called.
And I think I really like that style. So when/if I get a tattoo, even if it's in a year or whatever, because I'm slow as heck, it'll probably be an outlined something.
I want to do tattoos.
Such is life.
Yeah.
My cousin invited me to Colorado after Christmas to go up with her and like a group of our friends, and then come back in a few days or whatever. Really thinking about getting a tattoo in Colorado. One I'm thinking about getting, I'm kind of designing it in my head, and it would be like...
Listen, let me give you some words of advice. Do not design your own tattoo. Let me give all of you guys some words of advice. Do not design your own tattoo. Give your tattoo artist some creative freedom, because if you don't, they're gonna mess up, and it's your own design, and you're gonna be upset forever that it's messed up. That it's not the way you wanted it, because all 3 of mine that I designed myself, well, not one of them was my fault, but the 2 of mine that I designed myself, I don't like because of the mistakes that the tattoo artist made in not following my design to a T. Mm-hmm. But it's because that stuff like washes off as they like wipe, so it's hard to kind of like follow a design so much, which is why it's so much better to give them creative freedom. That way you don't expect anything other than their artwork.
I'm pretty, like, fine with giving them creative freedom.
Yeah.
I've watched a slew of tattoo shows where I, like, watch the tattoo artists compete and whatever. And I always find it really interesting what they come up with and things like that. But I know, like, the basic idea of what I want. And I think I would get it, like, here. Mm-hmm. And I would want, like, the silhouette of a tree in the middle. And then some geometrical line stuff going on around it. Sort of like...
that sounds cool.
Yeah, sort of like, kind of like... What's that brown stuff I like? Brown stuff that goes...
Henna.
Kind of like a henna design, but not quite.
Yes.
Around it, and then the tree in the middle.
I know what you're talking about, because I wanted a dragonfly like that.
Mm-hmm. Colorado, trees, mountains. I already want a mountain and tree. But I like the idea of mountains and then trees in silhouette underneath the mountains. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So...
I've seen a lot of them that I think that you would like that are kind of, it's a silhouette of something.
I love silhouettes.
But the inside of the silhouette is a nature scene.
Ooh, yeah.
It's a very simple nature scene. I've got one pinned because I kind of want my future Bigfoot tattoo to look like that.
I also, another thing I've always liked the idea of, which I probably wouldn't get for my first tattoo. It's like something that's like such a statement piece. I don't know if I really want it or not. Mm-hmm. But it would be, you know how people get bands, like of just black?
Yeah.
I saw a tattoo that was a band, but instead of being just black, it was like a forest. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen that one before.
It was like a forest with like stars in the sky and all that. And I like the idea of that because it was still pretty thin, but like it took out the whole section of skin, and I think that's what I like about the bands. It's like it's a continuing thing.
I want a bracelet tattoo.
That'd be cool.
I don't know what the heck I would get it as, but I want like a tattoo that goes all the way around my wrist.
Like a daisy chain or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. Even if you didn't get like a daisy chain, maybe like a sunflower chain.
Yeah.
Or like a sunflower on the inside of your wrist and then like green.
Yeah, I thought about doing like maybe some tiny little roses.
Oh yeah, that would be
something.
Cute.
But that's like way down the line after I get on my like Bigfoot and Kitty Moon Sunflower one.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one. But
anyway, we're a little bit off topic.
Got like off topic.
It's another. Is that all of our theories?
Yeah, we got through them pretty quick.
We did.
Which is not a bad thing because we talked about them all pretty in depth.
Mhm.
Okay, so would you watch that?
All right, I'm ready for this.
Man, I got some with you in mind.
Get any spooky ones?
Yeah.
In celebration of October.
Speaking
of October, been working on a craft, making some cute little moon patches.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I can get those along with the evil eye keychains that I put up in the store soon. But those will be up soon. If you guys are excited about it, I am.
Yeah, her patches look really cool. I really like the fabric that made the spider webs.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really, really cool. All right, so this is from Message in the Crystal on Tumblr. Great name. Probably the best username we've had from one of these.
Yeah.
Easy to read, easy to pronounce.
Yes.
Her big title says, "Witch movie idea. Most magical movies I watch start with the witches wanting to do a spell. They go over the spell ingredients and realize they are missing one very important ingredient. They then spend the rest of the movie looking for it, and at the end they try to do the spell." So some of these references we may or may not get, meaning me. But I get the idea.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Harold and Kumar / Broad City type movie of modern witches having to go on some crazy super bad adventure, super bad in quotes, to find the ingredients for their spell and maybe score some weed. Insert cameos of all the diverse witch types. Oh, geez.
So she wants like a Hangover witch movie.
Kind of, yeah.
Or like I would not watch that. Everybody's all about these movies nowadays where they're,
yeah, one's pop culture and stuff in there.
Yeah. Where they're like, Bad Moms.
Oh, yeah.
Bridesmaids.
Like all the
Hangover.
Really cliche comedies that aren't that funny.
The cliche comedies where people go out for a night on the town.
They do is drink.
They get drunk. They get into some debacle with somebody they don't mean to hurt their feelings of. Mm-hmm. And then they wake up with a hangover and look at the pictures.
Okay, and so
like
they wake up with a hangover, they have their potion, then they do the spell.
Yeah. Okay. I just feel like it's so cliched nowadays.
No.
That is like a typical movie for 2017.
So I don't necessarily get the references she mentioned. So that I could be interpreting this wrong. But when I read it, which it also could just be with the content I have consumed, that's what I related it to. I didn't think of a hangover comedy sort of movie. Yeah. I thought of kind of like what I would picture my ideal movie would be like this older witch and her young protege. She's teaching her this spell and she's like, Dadgummit, I'm out of these toenails I need from a squid. So we have to go get them. They only sell them at this place. And so they go to like the witch farmer's market. Freaking Bilbo Baggins doesn't have them. And so like, but while they're at the market, they just like they meet all their friends. You know, it's kind of like, probably takes like 15-20 minutes because they keep sending them in the wrong direction. Like, it's kind of like a catching up with all the older witches' friends, and you like see the different witches and like what they specialize in.
That would be really cool. But Harold and Kumar is a movie where these two people get high, watch TV, and there's a commercial for White Castle, which is a hamburger place.
Yeah, I've heard of White Castle actually.
And they're like, man, I really want some White Castle, so they set out on this late night odyssey, takes them deep into New Jersey, but somehow they manage to get into some sort of debacle.
Well then, yeah, that's not at all what she meant. But what about mine?
Yours is good.
Okay.
Yours is good, but this is this typical movie. I would never watch that in a million years, and I hate those stupid movies because they're all freaking the same thing.
Message in a Crystal, your movie was rejected, but it inspired mine, which was accepted. So sorry about ya. Okay, so this one's pretty funny, by Schmergo on Tumblr. I want a movie about a guy who runs for president and wins, but then suddenly realizes he doesn't want to be president, so he just starts doing ridiculous things all the time trying to get impeached, but it never works because they always miraculously end up being the right thing to do. Like, he declares war on Canada. Next day it turns out that Canada had secret plans to nuke Washington.
Oh no!
He bans Doritos. Turns out they're the #1 cause of cancer and natural disasters. He sends his vice president to jail. Turns out the VP was a terrorist in disguise. He has 100% approval rating. Most popular president ever.
Oh my gosh, that would be so funny. That reminds me of, I feel like if they did this, even though he's probably old now, they should use the actor from My Date with the President's Daughter.
Oh my gosh, I remember that movie. I watched that
That
so
reminds
long
me
ago.
of that movie.
I don't even remember, like, the plot, but I remember watching that movie multiple times. Except, obviously, he goes on a date with the president's daughter. So what, do you want the president to play that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same president?
Yeah.
Also, did they, on Cory in the House, did they show the president? Was he kind of goofy? No? Okay.
I don't think they ever showed the president on Cory in the House.
Oh. So would you watch that?
I would.
If it was that president?
I would watch that, yeah.
10 of 10?
10 of 10.
That just sounded hilarious.
As any president, I would watch that.
I kind of like, I mean, I haven't watched American Dad, but like that comic, like that cartoon style, I think would be really funny.
I think they should do it live action.
Yeah, that would be funny. I like the thought of him sitting in the Oval Office, like at his desk, his phone rings, and he's like, puts it down with a sigh. I just cannot get unelected, or like, I cannot get impeached. You know, like, just like, gosh dang it, can't get impeached for the life of me. Okay, so, and then this one was, I'm picturing as, it's emotional, which I know, but it's not romantic, so that's why I think you would like it.
Alright, let's
So
hear
it's
it.
like an introspective journey for everyone involved. The actors, the viewers, the whole shebang. So I actually don't have the username for this one, but I think they did a good job. I want to see a movie where there's a family with a few estranged members, whether they have some kind of family emergency or situation that calls all these members together in one place, and where they have a situation where they all have to come together. But instead of a movie ending with them all being a happy family, despite their differences and past issues, they just agree that maybe it's better to be estranged. Their belief systems are too at odds. Some of them are too resistant to change. Some of them have changed too much. Some of them have no idea how they even came from this family in the first place. They're so intrinsically different. In the end, everyone goes their own way, and it's okay. Some of them don't like it and try to guilt the estranged ones into keeping in close contact, but they don't cave in, and they walk away to live their own lives. And they said, I know I don't like fantasy movies much, but I'd watch this. So, I don't know why they said fantasy. Maybe there was like a part I missed when I screenshot it, because it was kind of a long post.
Maybe.
So,
like,
maybe
they're
they meant,
estranged,
like,
and then they do, like,
maybe
some magic potions in between.
They're wizards.
No, I would not watch that. That's too Lifetime sounding to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think, like, turning it into a movie would take the conversation to a Lifetime drama?
Yeah. Well, I think that it sounds a lot like My Sister's Keeper-esque. And I read half of that book as a middle schooler, which was a feat for me because I hated reading.
Yeah.
Until, like, 2 years ago. And it was a huge book.
Yeah. I should probably read that. I'm surprised I didn't read that growing up because I was just consuming all the books.
I really liked it. Kind of made me realize that I really like books that switch between the characters because of my learning disability, I guess. Mm-hmm. It kind of keeps my attention more than just regular books.
Man, I bet you would like Gone Girl. I have it if you want to borrow it.
I think Hank has it too.
It's a murder mystery, but it has a really great twist, and Gillian Flynn wrote it. She also has another book that I haven't read, but my friend told me about. It's a spooky book, that's why I haven't read it.
Spooky.
So I know you'd probably love it.
Heart spooky cat eyes.
Yeah. In case you guys didn't know, there's a difference between people who use a cat emojis and regular emojis. My difference is that I just forget about them. I feel like this would probably be better as a book than a movie.
Probably.
Because I think it would be difficult
I might be more likely to read it than I would to watch it.
You know what? I think the perfect format for this would be a play. Because it would be real.
I would never see that then.
That's because you don't realize how good plays are. That's just, I need to fix that. I'm a failure as a friend. You think, oh my gosh, Cassie compared the theater to the circus.
Okay, you compared
Hunchback of
Phantom of the Opera to Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Actually, it didn't. It wasn't Phantom of the Opera.
It wasn't Phantom of the Opera, but it was closer to Phantom of the Opera.
No, that's not even the same.
It is closer. What you were just comparing to Hunchback of Notre Dame was closer to Phantom of the Opera.
Whatever.
Have you even seen the Phantom of the Opera?
Yes, I watched it a lot when I was younger.
So then you should know that disfigured faces and peeping at ladies is more Phantom of the Opera than Hunchback of Notre Dame, who just likes to people watch and take in the culture because he's not allowed to leave the castle.
Yeah, but this guy pretty much in a way wasn't allowed to leave the rafters of the theater house.
He didn't leave the rafters of the theater house because he thought he was ugly, just like Phantom of the Opera.
Just like the Notre Dame. Hunchback of Notre Dame.
No.
Do you think he thought he was beautiful?
The Hunchback of Notre Dame was like trapped there by his dad / owner.
Yeah.
Like he walked out onto the building and then he got made fun of even though he was having a great time and he got in trouble. You don't remember that part?
Oh yeah. Up until that point, they are very similar.
They're not very similar. Just because he was watching the gypsies doesn't mean he was lady peeping.
Yeah, but the guy in
Phantom of the Opera
I was talking about wasn't necessarily lady peeping either. He was admiring from afar.
Which is closer to Phantom of the Opera.
Alright, whatever. Sure.
All I'm saying is I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, and I'm saying the exact same thing. Except that's also probably why you think theater is close to the circus, is because you don't go. Like, man, I wish you had seen American Idiot. It was so good. Anyways, this would be really good as a play because in a play, you feel the character's pain a lot more, or pain or happiness or whatever. You feel their emotions a lot stronger than you do on screen most of the time because they're so close to you in proximity, and because you can see it's almost like you see their faces in a different way because it's from whatever angle you're at, whereas at a movie they choose the angles.
Yeah.
So it's all in how they present the play to you, and everything has meaning, whereas like in a movie you could, like how he had watched Groundhog Day like 1,000 times and put the meaning into Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Because a director or an editor can choose the meanings of a movie, and a play director is also choosing the meanings, but they thread the needle and thread meaning into everything from the costumes to the way the voice goes. Because when we did one act play, we had to create an atmosphere in 40 minutes. In 40 minutes, we had to create this world and make sure people were completely into it and got the symbolism. So every character was wearing green because that was the color of the poison that the women were ingesting, because we did Our Shining Lives, which was based on a true story.
Where they licked the paintbrush.
Yeah, while they were painting.
The watches.
And then they got cancer.
Yep.
So yeah, that was green and glowed. At the end, we put our hands up and they glowed. Well, actually, we were backlit. We wanted to make our hands glow. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think this would make a good play. Win a Pulitzer Prize.
I think, I also think that I find that the circus is similar to theater because I was in dance for so long. And so I find that and I took like 1 year of theater in middle school, and I found that a lot of it was similar.
But was your dancing like dance that you would find in a circus?
It was like jazz and tap. It's like jazz and tap. It was all performance things I find are very similar on the actors or performers' point of view.
I agree, but I'm talking about the viewer's point of view.
I was talking about the performer the whole time.
Well, that's
about all of the work that goes into it.
Yeah.
All of the
That's fine. I'm
the
not
type of makeup that you wear and the type of stuff that you use.
I think you also were feeling like I was saying the circus was lower than the theater, and I'm not. I'm saying they're different.
From a viewer's point of view, yes, but from a performer's point of view, do you really think that the bearded lady actually has a beard?
Well, no, I'm not.
She has to she has to put on her persona and act like the bearded lady.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll say she's acting, but it's a different kind of performance. Like, there's different, okay, it's very similar. It's a very similar type of performance. Now I'm getting, like, what you're saying, but the whole time I'm thinking of it from, like, the experience they're creating for the viewer is different from theater to circus. I felt like you were comparing the circus experience for the viewer to the theater experience for the viewer. Okay, so then we've just been on the wrong wavelength this entire time.
We just had to talk it out, man.
Yeah, now we know. Hank, if you listen to this, we figured out the circus theater thing. It's fine now.
Yeah, we figured it out.
We didn't need
Don't worry about it.
I know you've just been, like, biting your fingernails the whole time since we talked about that last week. So.
Okay, well, that's it.
Yeah, that was a pretty
That's all we
podcast.
got today.
We did that very quickly, and I'm surprised because we've spent a lot of time here today.
We have spent a lot of time here today.
Hey, don't forget to check out our Instagram, send us a DM, shoot us an email, lunabloomstudio@gmail.com.
Don't forget also about our Etsy update. That will probably happen next week or the week after, and
keep an eye out for our Patreon. We'll keep you updated on when that happens via Instagram.
Yep, and we're going to try and get a Twitter soon, so
and download.
Check it all out. Yep.
Yeah.
We're on Live Me too. I don't really know what that is, but I downloaded it and we're there.
Yeah, we're there.
We're there. You're a square.
Yeah.
Bye.